Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to see everybody here today. My name's Melissa Foyer, and I'm a career coach at the Trachtenberg School of Public Policy and Public Administration. And we are so lucky to have four fabulous people from Booz Allen here to speak with us, all GW alums. We have two from Trachtenberg, we have two from Milken, so a wonderful representation to give you all a lot of information, answer questions, and inspire you. So with that, I believe, Brady, you are our point person, and I'm going to throw this to you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Let me go ahead and pull the slides up and let me know, are those presenting all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, hi, everybody. Great to be here. Like Melissa was saying, we are all alumni of GW, and we're happy to be presenting from Booz Allen today. For our presentation, we're going to take you through just kind of introductions to us. Who are we? How did we get to where we are currently? Walk you through why consulting, a little bit about Booz Allen and some background there generally. And then the main focus of our presentation today is on this policy analytics cohort, full-time and internship opportunities. We are actively recruiting for our full-time positions in the policy analytics cohort. Three of us are in the cohort, so we're happy to answer any questions. And like Melissa said, there will be time for Q&A at the end. So please be thinking of questions, write anything down that you want to know more about, and we'll be happy to talk through it with you. So, for some introductions, I'll let Heather go first.
Thanks so much, Brady. So my name is Heather Malacaria. I'm a lead associate at Booz Allen and mostly focus on policy analysis and legislative affairs. I've been with Booz Allen since 2017, so before this policy cohort actually started. I wish it had existed when I started at Booz Allen. I graduated with an MPA from GW actually in January, so not too long ago, and I was completing that degree while working at Booz Allen. Brady, over to you.
Perfect. Hey, everybody. Like you know, Brady Miss Huston. I graduated from the Trachtenberg School with my MPA. Kind of did a mix of MPA and MPP. Graduated in 2023, and I've been at Booz Allen ever since. So I've been here for just over a year. My main function is kind of health program measurement and evaluation. I spent about a year working with the VA on a process improvement project, and I now work with Medicare and Medicaid, doing more of a formal kind of academic evaluation for them. And Olivia.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia Bathstash. I've been with Booz Allen a little over a year, started the same time as Brady in the cohort. I am a Milken alum I concentrated on health policy. And I've been working the past year on a VA mental health project, which has been really awesome and rewarding, and I'm happy to talk about that more later. I think that was it. Yeah, I'll pass it to Allie.
Thanks, Olivia. Hey, everyone. My name is Allie. I was also a student at Milken. I graduated in August 2022. Olivia and I were in the same program. My concentration was in health policy. I joined Booz Allen in January of this year, so still very new. And I'm also a member of the policy cohort. My work is specifically related to health policy analysis and stakeholder engagement. And I currently work on a CMS project where we're focused on patient and provider burden. So thanks so much for having us. I'll pass it over to Brady.
Perfect. Thanks, Allie. And I know all four of us do work in the health account, and we will talk more about what this civil sector is and where else you can end up in Booz Allen. But health is not the only thing. So I want everybody to know that even though all four of us do work in the health account. So to give us a little bit more background into consulting in Booz Allen, I'm going to pass it to Heather, since she's been working here for so much longer than the rest of us.
Thanks so much. So why consulting? It's a great question. So Booz Allen primarily supports public sector clients in the federal government. And there are a couple things that are nice about that. One is that we enjoy a great deal of flexibility. Booz Allen really supports its employees paving their own career path, and with that, the flexibility to actually change projects and change what you're doing on a daily basis without changing companies. So a great example of this is just my own career. During my time at Booz Allen, I've transitioned from supporting clients in the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid to working in the Department of Veterans Affairs and to now supporting the Department of Defense. So a lot of flexibility to, you could come in health, but also pivot, as you see fit throughout your time at Booz Allen. Another thing that's really nice about working with public sector clients and the flexibility that comes with it is that the work-life balance is a key value that we really uphold. And many of our projects allow for the flexibility to work remotely or in a hybrid capacity. And our hours are also usually limited to the core hours of our government clients. So unlike kind of the horror tales that you might hear of private sector consulting, we're really not moving beyond a 40-hour work week. Third, we're all collectively driven by the missions of our clients and really seek to make the world better. I feel like most people that I talk to at the firm, when I ask, why Booz Allen, what do you like about it? One of the first things they say is that they're really connected to the mission of the clients that they're supporting. Next slide. So Booz Allen at a glance. This slide just provides a quick snapshot of some Booz Allen stats. And as you can see here, Booz Allen is a diverse firm with tons of experience, which is great for our clients, but also means our employees get the best of both worlds as well. They get the stability and resources of an established company, paired with the agility of a small collaborative team that have the support of a huge diverse network behind them. So even though we're 31,000 employees, I've worked on contracts that have as few as 15 people. So you can really make it a smaller environment depending on the contract that you pursue. So we're headquartered in McLean, Virginia, but we have locations all over the world, including remote options and multiple offices in the DC area. And one stat that I don't think is on here is that over a third of Booz Allen employees have professional certifications and or higher education degrees. And many people have actually obtained these through Booz Allen's Flex Ed benefit, which provides funding or reimbursement for you to take training and courses to enhance your skills while you're at the firm. And I actually funded a portion of my GW education through Booz Allen, which was really nice. Next slide. So this slide just further illustrates Booz Allen's reach throughout the country and globally. We have over 400 office locations in 20 countries. And while I've mostly worked in the DMV office locations, I have enjoyed the flexibility of being able to access a Booz Allen office when I'm traveling, for example, home to Boston when I'm visiting family. Next slide. And finally, each year Booz Allen receives awards for its commitment to client service, innovation, company culture, social impact, and diversity and inclusion. So we just wanted to highlight here a few of the groups that have recognized our firm recently. And Brady, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. So a couple more things just kind of on Booz Allen as a whole. I think something that was important to me when I was looking at where I wanted to end up after graduation was what kind of career support do you get? How are you allowed to grow and develop? And I do love that at Booz Allen there is a strong culture and a strong network that you can be supported by. So I built this slide, kind of broke it into 3 different sectors or types of support. Just peer support, you get things like we have something called the Rising Leaders Forum. It's a group of people that are associates and below, so kind of earlier career individuals that are all supporting each other. It gives you the opportunity to be in a leadership role, oversee that, you set up events or networking or marketing. It's a lot of support within like your peer network. Or if there are multiple organization-wide types of groups, I've probably had the most experience personally with communities of practice. I'm involved with the social science research community practice because I'm a nerd and I like it. There's like a public health one, global health. I know mostly health ones because that's what I'm involved in. But pretty much almost any interest you have professionally, you can find a group that's probably meeting about it, where they do brown bag events and info sessions, and they help you land contracts in the firm, which is pretty cool. And then individually, they set you up with a new hire buddy when you first start, just somebody who's also a peer to kind of talk you through, let you ask dumb questions. You get a career manager who is separate from the person that you work with every day. So your job leader is your everyday person that you're working with. And your career manager is somebody who's just worried about your career of, do you want to switch projects? Do you want to take trainings in certain places to be able to grow? They kind of help you guide and shape your career in that way. So I think there's a pretty wide net of support, which I've really enjoyed. And then the last thing, kind of just in general, Booz Allen is our community impact. There are very cool events happening all the time. I think there's like a 5K that's happening sometime this month for the National Children's Hospital in DC. Or I helped sort backpacks and hand them out for back to school this year. So there are lots of cool things. Booz Allen gives you like $25 to choose who do you want that money to go to so you can support a nonprofit that you love. So lots of opportunities to give back, and I think that is a very cool aspect of working. So I'm going to pass it over to Ali to give us a little bit more about what is the civil sector, because the policy cohort kind of falls under that.
Right. So this is our organization. Booz Allen is segmented into 4 market-focused sectors. So you have civil, global defense, national security, and commercial. And there are accounts under each sector. And these sub-accounts have different markets. So for example, under the civil sector, we have health, and that has a sub-account dedicated to federal agencies under HHS. So we have clients like CMS, FDA, NIH, and CDC. And like Brady mentioned, all 4 of us on this call are aligned to the health account. And while this presentation is specifically tailored to recruitment into the civil sector, Booz Allen employees are allowed to switch to other sectors throughout their career. So there's a lot of flexibility. And Booz Allen is internally supported by our enterprise organizations. And these organizations operate independently from the sectors, but will collaborate across the firm when needed to effectively deliver services and solutions to our people and our clients. So for example, our Chief Technology Office, CTO, accelerates firm growth by championing digital transformation and exploring emerging technology that could position Booz Allen as a government technology leader. The CTO helps develop new prototypes, products, services, or processes that can leverage technology to solve mission needs across our sectors. Next slide. And in the civil sector, we focus on 6 mission areas that offer significant opportunities for innovation and growth in the civil government. So they consist of climate and infrastructure, immigration and migration, life sciences and public health, citizen services, healthcare transformation, and law enforcement. And we apply our combination of mission insights and technical expertise to help civil agencies deliver better mission outcomes. Oftentimes, the work we do for clients is centered on helping them understand and utilize their data sources to improve efficiency and maximize their impact. So some of the notable clients that we work with across civil are the Department of Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury, the VA, FBI, and as I mentioned before, agencies within HHS like CMS, CDC, and FDA. Something also to note about civil is that we have nearly 10,000 active full-time employees in the civil sector, and around 55% of those are located in the DMV. So if you do decide to come work for Booz Allen and you stay in the DC area, you'll have a lot of opportunities to meet other people at the firm in our local offices.
Great, thanks, Ali. And I think just kind of building on that while we're on this slide, if you can think of any government agency that falls under some of these core missions, or really anything outside of defense or intelligence, civil probably has some sort of hand in there, which I think is helpful to know just as you're considering different options and places to go. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the policy analyst cohort. what is it? I know we've been referencing it this whole presentation, but giving you a little bit more. The policy analytics cohort is relatively new to Booz Allen. It's existed for about 4 years. The point of the cohort is to bring in graduate students that have a skill set that falls within policy analytics. I think the reason they used that as the descriptor is because we're really looking for people who have both analytical skill sets. So you have some facility with data, you know how to use numbers. And then you also have the writing side, you have presentation skills. You can bring forth insights out of the data. You're not just a backroom coder. So I think a lot of us are those people who kind of fall somewhere in the middle. The key mission areas that we're looking at are data analytics, technology, critical thinking. The reason I think the cohort is a nice place to join, I know not all organizations do this, but it really puts you together with a group of your peers who are starting at the same time as you, and probably are in a relatively similar place within their career journey, right? So there are events, sometime at the beginning, it's more frequent, but every month or so, where you're meeting together, you're learning skills, and you get connection and insight into some pretty high level people at the firm, which really is not common for people who are new joining somewhere. You don't meet with vice presidents and senior vice presidents who come in, or even the COO, I think, presented to us last year, just talking about the firm goals and direction. And we could ask just very basic questions for us getting started in our career. I think it is a very nice kind of added layer of support. If you think of that first graphic I was showing about support at Booz Allen, this just adds more to that. So very cool place to start. Like I said, most of us start, we take in about 20 people every year into this cohort from a few of the top policy schools and public health schools. Don't want to leave out public health. I just think of policy because that's what I did. And I was speaking to this a little bit, but what does the ideal candidate look like? A lot of these words I think are a little generic, but I will try to expand on them for why I think they're useful. Hardworking and driven, they're trying to make sure that you're somebody who's going to work hard. Like Heather said, we work pretty much 40-hour work weeks. I think it's amazing to work for government clients that way. But also people who are mission driven, they care about the federal government. We're solving complex problems for government clients. And I think that is something that's very interesting, but also does require, a fair amount of work. We're looking for people who are interested in supporting the federal government. A way that you can show that is easily in your resume. If you have any work experience working with federal clients, doing research projects, or I know in the Trachtenberg School, you have capstone projects, or you sometimes have other classes where you work directly with a client. If you have those experiences, if you have anything federally related, put it on your resume. It looks very nice that you have some of this federal experience. So that's a little plug. If you don't, talk about why you're interested in it, right? We want the marketable skills. We want a quantitative and qualitative person. We're helping with resume reviews, and that's the main thing that all the hiring managers have told us to look for is you know how to use numbers and you know how to present them and you know how to improve projects. I did process improvement for the first year here at Booz Allen. So it's not all just like numbers. We're not just nerdy analysts, but some mix of being able to do both of those things, I think makes a very strong candidate and a very strong consultant at Booz Allen. We want self-starters. A lot of us take on some of these leadership opportunities like Ali, Olivia, and me and Heather being able to present here with you guys, creating some of these decks, helping with recruitment. There are tons of opportunities to get involved, and we like to look for somebody who's willing to get involved and is excited about that. And then we have this word cloud down here. These are some of the things we actually pulled them from people's resumes. We ran it in R, which somebody who's better at coding than me did it, and then pulled some of like the most common words that we saw on people's resumes that were hired onto the cohort and just started last month. So really, some of these data, policy, health, research, those are some of the words we're looking for, and we see a lot of on the resumes as they come in. So these are just supposed to be some tips, help you guys understand what we are looking for. If you have more specific questions when we get to the Q&A, please ask. Happy to go more into that. All right, and then I will turn it over to Olivia to talk more about the full-time and internship opportunities.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, we'll just talk a little bit about timelines and what exactly we're looking for. So students like you, it says second year graduate students here, but I know there's a lot of part-time students at GW, maybe taking longer timelines to finish programs. So I think more specifically, we're looking for people who are going to finish their program in the next year before you would potentially start in July, August timeline. But yeah, if you're interested in working with civilian federal agencies, such as citizen services, health, domestic resilience, so think CMS, HHS, or the IRS and the Department of Transportation. And I know we have worked with FDA and FEMA, just so all across those, a lot of work going on in the civil sector. But also a reminder that there is opportunities to move around again. So I think our application links are live. So those will be due in 2-3 weeks, October 14th. And then I think if we go to the next slide, Brady, you can just show the visual of the timelines here. And just note that we do have internship opportunities, but not really the focus right now, more looking for the full-time hires. So here's just an overview of the timeline. Things are happening soon and they do happen pretty quickly. So by the time you're submitting in October, within a month of going through interviews and things like that, I think you should expect to have your decision. And then things would start going late May. You'd start maybe having some intro calls with people and then for a full start in August. And then the next slide has some more specifics about what the interview process is like, which I'll go over now, but obviously if there's more questions, please let us know. Basically, after you apply, there's a number of people that you'll talk to throughout the process. And we just want to show this so that we're transparent and clear and everyone has a good candidate experience. But you'll talk to a recruiter, do kind of a classic screening interview, and then potentially have 2 to 3 interviews with the hiring team and hiring managers. And then shortly after that, you would have your decision, offer letter, and then all sorts of onboarding activities after that. But since you guys are university hires, it would be a pretty extended process once the offer is signed and everything's decided. But am I missing anything there? I don't think so. So I think we can pass back to Heather and then we'll answer more questions about that.
Thanks so much. So just to end it here, so Booz Allen's mission and motto is to empower people to change the world. And so, we're here telling you about the firm, but we're looking for people who this motto really resonates with. And so, I think for all of us, we are really driven by the missions of the clients that we support. And it's a great way to work with government without actually being in government and have some of the perks of the private sector as well. But really, truly want people to see the work as meaningful and that's what brings you to work every day. So we'll end our presentation here and then we'll open it up to some questions.
Hi, my name is Alexis. I'm a part-time MHA student with Milken here. I already work in the healthcare consulting field in the federal space. I do have some years of experience under my belt, but here I'm here, so I'm interested in your cohort. So I wanted to ask, is this more geared toward early career professionals, or is someone who's maybe early to mid point could still find good opportunities with this program?
Maybe I'll jump in on that because Alexis was maybe a little similar to you. I had worked maybe 5 years before going to grad school and then worked during grad school as well. So I came in with a little bit of experience. I don't know how much you were saying, but I think It's probably geared towards people who have maybe a little bit less, but for me, it didn't feel like a bad place to land. I think they were very supportive of me, and it's a good way to get into Booz Allen, I would say, and then find how you want to grow and develop from there. So I think this is a good place to go in for probably like early to starting mid-career people. If you're more established, maybe you've worked for 10 to 15 years, Booz Allen is still a great place to look, but the cohort probably wouldn't be the best place to land. And they would list there are other jobs listed all the time that you could look into.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else had anything to add to that. Okay, great. And sorry, I'm leaving the slides up for a second just so people can scan these codes if they want them.
Folks, you can type questions in the chat. You can also unmute yourself or you can raise your hand. And this is a great time for you to be able to ask everything that you are dying to know. I'm going to jump in and ask a question for whomever. I think you, Brady, maybe it was you, alluded to the fact that there might be more questions about this, but the word cloud with the commonly seen words, I've never seen that before. That was great. But I'd love to hear a little bit more from all of you about the things you get really excited to see on somebody's resume if you're looking at resumes. And maybe the things that were on yours that you believe people looking at your resume were really excited to see.
I can jump in with some thoughts there. Just thinking back to my own interview experience coming into Booz Allen, I feel like a really key selling point as somebody who's not, I don't consider myself to be super technical. I don't like coding. But I had a lot of data related content in my MPH and took all the stats classes and all my epi classes. So just had a solid foundation in data and I understand it. I don't have a strong desire to be working with it every day, but I was able to communicate to them that I understand the value of data. I can translate it for people who maybe don't understand it, which is pretty common for a client who's been in the government for 40 years and is asking you for help with their data and trying to understand how their programs are working in the face of certain policy requirements, or if this policy is doing what they expect it to be doing based off of this data. It's a really important thing to be able to translate that message for people. So I think that's something that is a really strong skill that we look for, and that's why we kind of look to policy focused people for those sorts of skills, because it's kind of a niche skill set that not everyone gets to practice as much.
And I think to piggyback off of what Olivia was saying, I think what's unique to the policy cohort is you not only understand data, but you can communicate it. So those communication skills are really key. And I definitely, I don't work so much with data myself, but seeing people that have a background in communications is also really important for my work. And then I also like to see familiarity with either working on the Hill or at least understanding how the Hill works is in particular very useful as well.
And I guess something else that I have seen is like just research in general that doesn't have to be quantitative, but qualitative. I think a lot of what we do is digging into problems, trying to figure them out. We support a lot of our work with like literature reviews or knowing what the academic space or the federal space is saying before we do some of our work of being a business analyst to help the techie people build something. I'm gathering requirements every day. I'm talking to people. There's a lot of different stuff that we do. And I know we do kind of concentrate. We talk a lot about data stuff, mostly because it's easier to talk about. But really, any experience that you have, if you guys are full-time students right now and you haven't worked a full-time job before, that's fine. But I would highly recommend having some sort of internship experience, research assistant experience if you can't find internships, something where you can show like, hey, I've worked with real people doing real stuff, and these are some of the products I've been able to provide. So talk us through the impact you've been able to make, I think is the biggest thing on a resume.
Terrific, thank you. Other questions, folks? This is a great opportunity to ask them. Oh, now I can see everybody. I'm gonna throw something out there then as I'm scanning the little boxes here. Are cover letters part of the application process at Booz Allen?
I'll jump in. I think that we greatly prefer to see cover letters. I don't think that they're required in the process, but I don't think it hurts to throw in a cover letter. I think we get a lot of applicants in for this program, so anything to help you stand out, highlight any key experiences, I think is a really useful tool for you if you're trying to break through.
And just to add a piece to that, I think the application doesn't have a separate upload for the cover letter. So if you do include one, include it in the same document as your resume, you know, first or last, and then save it as a PDF.
And to Heather's point, that's great because the leadership recently told me, I was in a meeting with them and they brought that up. They're like, some of the schools require students to put cover letters in their resumes, which is interesting. But those students tend to do very well in recruiting because they have that additional information. So would recommend it in the same file.
Very good information to have. Thank you. Students, questions?
And maybe I could speak to the couple that went into chat. I think, Heather, you did a great job responding to them. Thank you. I was sharing my screen, so I couldn't see them. But yeah, for the first question, we require applicants to either be US citizens or current green card holders. So if you need visa sponsorship, probably not the best place to go, just being government consulting. That might not be true for commercial clients, but our commercial space is smaller, much smaller compared to some of our federal work. So that is good to know. And then for the internship, yeah, the internship is smaller. It's a smaller group that we bring on, probably around like 6 people is what they're thinking, maybe a few more for this upcoming year. And that is full-time over the summer. That is normally what people are working. And Olivia helped oversee those interns that went in this year. So if you guys have specific questions, I'm sure she could give more about that.
Thanks, Brady. Others? I have a million questions, but I'd love to share the floor with our students here.
I have a question, if that's okay. First of all, thank you all for speaking. Really appreciate your insights and also giving a lot of clarity. I've been bouncing around a couple of different sessions, and I think this one is the one that was most to the point and offered the most information about what the process was like. So really appreciate that. My question is, what would you say makes Booz Allen different from some of the other consulting firms that do a lot of public sector work?
That's a great question. I mean, I haven't worked at any of the other consulting firms, so I can't say with direct experience, but I do think the people at Booz Allen are really what makes it unique. I know myself, I came from kind of a think tank background before, and it was just so refreshing to come to Booz Allen with folks that just had so much variable experience, and also a lot of women in leadership positions. That was super refreshing as well. So that has definitely been, something that has kept me at the firm and been a motivating factor.
And to piggyback off of that, I was also going to say the people, and I feel like that's like one of the first things that you learn when you come to the firm. Like you'll talk to so many different people that have these amazing backgrounds and like subject matter expertise, and it feels like when you join the firm, there are so many opportunities. Like there's so many different paths that you can take. I think people describe it as like choosing your own journey. And like that's truly what it feels like. And the people that you work with just make showing up and like helping your clients solve their missions just like that much more enjoyable.
I think too, beyond even just how many amazing people we have at Booz Allen, the culture is, I think, really special in that a lot of consulting firms have this up or out pressure for you to just climb the ladder, and it doesn't really matter what happens in between those points. But Booz Allen really doesn't have that. They give you all the room to grow in whatever direction you want. So if that means that you want to get going up and promoting, getting up and leading people and doing these things, or if you want to break off and specialize and be a subject matter expert in something super niche and just jump from project to project, focusing on that topic, then that's there for you too. And there's no pressure for you to be moving in a direction that you maybe don't want to. So hopefully that was clear, but I think that's also something that I haven't heard about other places.
I agree. I love the lack of the up or out culture. I don't think I would thrive in that. So I do love that. The other thing I think about Booz Allen, and this could be a pro and a con depending on your personality, so I will present it that way, is that you own your career very much. Like we are hiring in policy analyst cohorts, but we're not going to tell you what contract you should work on, right? You don't come in and we don't just say, okay, you're going to work in the VA and you're only going to do this and this is going to be your thing forever. You have the opportunity to learn more about the contracts, choose where you want to go. And if you work on one for 6 months and you don't like it, you can switch, right? You can move. I moved from VA to CMS so I could be a little more data heavy because I do like numbers and I wanted to do more of that. But if I don't want that, I can go a different direction. So you get a lot of the ownership and there's a lot of support. You have a career manager, you have an admin team, there's formal mentorship programs. Like there's a lot of people that will help you make those decisions, but you own it a lot. So I think it's nice that you never get stuck. Like we have somebody she was working in domestic resilience. So she was doing like climate change, I think, stuff before. And she's like, now I want to work in defense. So she just moved over to a defense account because that's what she wanted to do. And you're allowed to do that. So I think that's an awesome perk here, but it does put a lot of the onus on you as the employee to build your career how you want.
And then just a follow-up question. What advice would you give to graduate students, especially those who are in the last year of their program, in terms of skills and opportunities they should try and cultivate if they want to work at like Booz Allen?
Thinking of my last year in my program, having pretty much locked down the job about a year before, I think that really gave a lot of opportunity for me to kind of lean more into the electives that I wanted to take, and think about what classes, like I forgot which ones I took, but I know I was thinking if I wanted to work in CMS, I was going to really make sure I took those Medicare, Medicaid classes and got that deeper policy knowledge in that area. And that also kind of lets you maybe vary what you might do in your internship. If there's still something that, if you have time to work and do an internship during your program, then there might be something that's maybe a little different than consulting that you could explore in that last year. Or maybe you want to build up those skills and you find something that's a little more research focused, a little more something with a team. I think any of those could be, it's broad of what you could do, but I think it depends if you want to kind of branch out and try something new. I think that's also really valuable experience since you know that you're going to start doing something in a year. But that's how I would probably take it. Others might see it differently.
I mean, sorry, I'm just chiming in on everything, but we work a lot in teams. Like the teamwork is a huge component of Booz Allen. I work a lot in Excel and PowerPoint and Word. I'm writing a lot. I'm giving presentations in front of clients all the time. So I think anything you can to kind of build those, they seem very generic, but people do join, especially at like lower levels, like below graduate students, that they're like, I can't touch an Excel sheet. Like, I don't know what you mean by doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay, we need to learn some basic skills. So, I mean, most of you guys probably have that stuff, but I agree with Olivia. I like the think about what you're interested in, try it out, because that's a lot of what we do in our careers here. And the interviews are pretty chill. Maybe chill is not the most professional word, but they are. Like you're meeting with they just want to talk about you and like, what do you like? Like, what's something cool that you're learning or you've done? So if you have something you're interested in and you can speak to it, I think that generally goes very well in the interviews for the policy analytics cohort.
Any last questions before we wrap up? I do have one last question. You all have varying backgrounds behind you. Are you mostly virtual? Are you coming in person? What's like the work mode there?
So it depends on the contract you're on and kind of what is specified in that statement of work. The contract that I'm currently on pre-COVID, my understanding is they were in person 4 days a week, and remote 1 day a week. But since COVID, the clients have really taken to working remotely. And so since I've joined that project, I've been 100% remote with maybe 4 in-person meetings a year. There is a requirement if you are designated as like hybrid at Booz Allen that I think you do have to go in 4 times a year or so to a Booz Allen office. So that's the only hard requirement that I'm aware of besides the variation between contracts.
Civil contracts tend to have the least in person, probably. Like defense and intelligence, you have to go in a lot more highly classified information. But ours, it does depend. But most people, I feel like, tend to be fairly remote or hybrid going to an office sometimes.
Yeah, certainly for those of us in the DMV, I think people vary between going in 1 to 3 times a week, just depending on if their team wants to go in person, if other cohort members are going in and you want to get lunch or connect about something. It's really dependent on you. If it's not determined by your project, then it's pretty much just up to what you're happy doing with. I live in a studio, so I like to go in at least once a week just to get out of here. But some people are super happy to just be in their place all the time. Some people go in way more than me. So.
Excellent. Well, we are at time, and I cannot thank this group enough for being here today. I love those slides. Those were some really great slides. It was fun to see them really clear. Yes, I think definitely clapping on that. And what a terrific presentation. Thank you so much. And a treat to have all GW alums. That's extra special. And thank you to the students from Trachtenberg and from Milken who are here today. I love Olivia's message. Yes, no case interviews. Yes, there's big smiles on people's faces thinking that they do not have to do a case interview. Thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.